Canning your own foods offers both health benefits and cost savings, and you really don't have to have 30 acres of green beans to do it. It can be easy and convenient, and there's a class coming up at Everman Natural Foods to get you started. Here to talk about canning in the class is instructor Pat Johnson. Pat, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me in.
Well, it's a great thing, and we like to have a lot of shows about nutrition. That's been some feedback that we've gotten from our viewers, and this is great. But let's go ahead and get that out there. I mentioned about the 30 acres of green beans. Do you have to have a huge garden of your own, or can you go to a supermarket and still get the benefits of canning?
Well, the answer to that's yes. Most of us don't have 30 acres of green beans, but there's still a huge advantage to canning your own food. So my garden is a victory garden or a square foot garden and provides for daily needs, but I still do a huge amount of canning. Most of my canning is geared toward convenience.
Well, before we get into a little bit more of the details, let's talk about and get this out here about the class that's coming up. Tell us the date and just some basic information.
It'll be on Saturday, January the 22nd. Starts at 1 o'clock, ends at 3:30, roughly. They do ask that you show up early because seating's limited, and they'll actually seat them as they enter the class. Okay. So if you get there at 1 o'clock and the classroom's full, you may have a problem.
Okay. Well, here at the New Year, many people make resolutions, and many of those focus on health. So let's talk about the health benefits of canning first, if you don't mind, Pat.
Okay. Well, health benefits and cost savings are kind of a byproduct of canning. When you're canning, you're in full control of what goes in that jar. They call it canning, but it's jarring. But you're in full control of what goes in it, so you're putting in the choice quality meats, vegetables, as opposed to the culls or the remnants, if you will, that you might get if you get a commercial can off of the shelf. You also can determine if you want to put the salt in advance, or if you want to wait till the end and either not put it in or add it at the time you want to eat it. You can add as many spices or as few as you want. You can determine that you want to leave products out, your own recipe, if you will. If you go in and get a can of something off of the shelf, it's going to have preservatives, it's going to have salt, it's going to have all kinds of things in it that you probably can't pronounce, much less want to eat.
So you are in control, and that enables you to put the healthiest ingredients in there and also watch your cost as you go.
That's right.
So, but it doesn't sound that convenient. Sounds like maybe a lot of trouble. So let's address that issue. What about ease and convenience?
Well, the whole idea of canning isn't because it's easy to do the canning. But if you look at it as I can can enough chicken in one day to last me the entire year. Now all of a sudden the work involved in actually doing the canning is a little less intimidating because you don't have to do any of the cooking.
You spread that out over that period of time, and you did save some time there.
Sure you do.
Well, a lot of people may think about canning as just vegetables or fruit, or what you mentioned, chicken. Tell us about what all you can.
Well, you can anything. Actually, my whole class will be geared toward convenience as opposed to what do you do with 30 acres of green beans. I don't have 30 acres of green beans, so I'm really trying to do things that will make my life easier. Mm-hmm. And so I can chicken, I can make chicken, I put a boneless, skinless chicken breast in the jar and nothing else. So when I get ready to make chicken salad, I take the jar off, pour the juice off, mix it with some mayonnaise and relish, and I've got the best chicken salad in town in 2 minutes. I can fish, pork, beef, chili, all kinds of soups, dried beans, garbanzo beans to make hummus, just about anything you can think of to can. I make tamales in the jar. It's just so easy to do, and the canning process is individual, so you can put beans and chili and canned fish all in the same processing.
So let's talk about the process, and I'm assuming that's one of the things people will learn at the class?
We'll be demonstrating both pressure cooking techniques as well as water bathing techniques. Those are the only two USDA approved methods of storing or preserving food in a jar. In the old days, people used to do it in a number of other ways. Most of those folks aren't alive anymore. We'll be doing the safe and the approved methods and demonstrating from start to finish.
Well, tell us a little bit about this equipment. Is this equipment easy to use? Is it something that most people may have or can easily obtain?
The water bathing is nothing more than a large pot big enough to cover the jars that you put inside of them. So most people probably already have a large pot in their pantry. The pressure cooker, 20 years ago, I would have said, yes, you've already got the equipment. Nowadays, most folks don't have a pressure cooker, but it's easy. It's relatively inexpensive to buy one. You can get a small one for $25 to $50. You can get a large one for $150. So you can get any level of expense you want.
So once you've got the items canned, then where do you store them?
On the shelf. They don't have to be refrigerated. Technically, they've got an indefinite shelf life. However, they start to lose their vitamins and their color may fade a little bit after a couple of years. So I usually urge people to can what they're going to use in the next year to 2 years max.
Well, you mentioned going back to you saying that, you know, the way our grandmother may have done it, and a lot of people may have done more things like that at that time. Why are you seeing an interest in this again, or is this something that has never gone away? Maybe just a lot of us aren't aware of it.
Well, I don't think it's ever gone away, but it's certainly fading. Most of the self-sufficient culture of America has faded because of the time constraints that people have put upon themselves. People choose to do a lot of things that take the time away that could be used to do it the old way. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's a recurring interest now because people are recognizing that they're not self-sufficient and they're relying on somebody or some large company to produce their food. And we've seen what the genetic modifications and things have done recently in the news.
So you think also maybe a heightened awareness of nutrition is responsible for maybe some of this interest?
I think there's certainly an awareness of the nutrition. I think that's a big thing, and I think a lot of people are trying to get back a little bit to the self-sufficiency thing. Mm-hmm. During any hurricane, and when you get stuck eating your MREs and I'm eating the same diet I always eat,
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good reason to learn how to can, right there.
It is that.
Well, what would you say to somebody who's trying to decide, is this something I want to check out or not?
Well, I'd say come to the class, because not only are we going to be demonstrating the methods to can and showing exactly how long and how hard it is, we'll also be sampling some of the stuff straight from the jars. So I've got an assortment of things that are well over a year old that we'll be opening. We'll be making chicken salad right there on the table and hummus and soups, and everybody can try what I've canned, and we'll be trying the things after we finish the process. We'll be sampling those to see how.
So they'll actually be getting the hands-on experience of actually canning something during the class.
You bet.
Sounds like a great thing. So remind our viewers real quick one last time when and where and how they can RSVP, because I know that they want to make sure they get that spot.
Well, it's January 22nd, which is a Saturday. Starts at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, goes to 3:30 in the afternoon approximately. You can call Everman's or go to Everman's personally. They will take your name, but they will not reserve you a seat.
Okay.
So you must be there a little bit early so you can get in and find a seat. Once the seats are filled, they have to turn people away.
Great. Pat, that is great information. And just before we go, anything you want to add about this subject?
Just that you too can.
We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you very much for doing this for the community and for working with the Evermans. They do a great job of really doing some great community outreach. So we appreciate you both.